Hello, this is Paul, and we're talking about the usual, A Course in Miracles. Dreams. When you go to sleep at night and you have a dream, as the dream begins, you suddenly find yourself in a place that seems to exist and it seems real. And let's say it's a sunny day and you're in a park and there's a tree in front of you which looks like it's been there for 50 years. And there's some rocks at the side of the park that look like they've probably been weathered and aged for thousands of years. And let's not forget also that there is grass on the ground which is grown and looks like it's ready to be cut. And underneath the grass, of course, there's a planet. And somehow, according to the laws of science, the planet took millions of years to evolve. And had to have gone through evolutionary processes that took a long, long time to get to the point where the grass is growing and the tree is growing and the rocks have formed. And yet, you only just started dreaming a second ago. So you fell asleep and you had this dream, and this dream started as if you were like picking up where you left off in some kind of a world that was a continuum or a continuation of things through time and history that was there long before you seemed to arrive. And you think, oh, I've just found myself in a dream, and this dream was here before I got here. And clearly it's an objective reality. And the dream environment seems to be much, much bigger than you are. And so detailed and has so many objects, and it doesn't seem as though you've got anything to do with putting them there. And so they're just sort of there as if they were there before you arrived. And you just seem to be this small little human body who is hanging out in this dream world and moving around as if you only have control over this one little body. And it seems as though that's all that you are, and that's all that you have power over. And the trees sway in the wind by themselves, and the sun shines after billions of years of evolution. And it all seems real. And it all seems like it's happening, and it seems like you're in some kind of place that's been there for a frickin' ever, for millions of billions of years. But you only went to sleep at 7:30 at night. Or maybe that's a bit too early, isn't it? You only went to sleep at 10:30, and here you are in a world in your mind that only you're having an experience of, that wasn't even there at 10:30. and yet you're dreaming of it and experiencing it as if it's there now, and it's been there for a very long time before you even arrived, even though it didn't exist at 10:30 p.m. when you were getting your pajamas on. And this is the illusion of dreaming, that you can enter into a dream experience that seems like a real world, complete with all its details and things that seem animated and alive and existing seemingly independent of you, as if you didn't put them there, and you identifying yourself as just this little piece of it, as if you're surrounded by an entire environment that you did not create. But nobody else is dreaming your dream for you. Who put your dream there? Did God create your nighttime dream, and did He make the trees and the rocks and the ground and the weather and the sun? Did God put that in your dream, and then did you start going into the dream to find out what God had put there? No. And everything that I just said, I'm looking around me and describing this world. I'm in a park with trees and grass and sun and wind blowing and rocks on the ground, and surrounded by an environment that seems to be there that I didn't put there, that has all these details and objects that seem like they've been there for millions of years. There's a tree right in front of my face that looks like it's probably 50 years old. There's rocks right in front of my car that probably have been around for thousands of years, covered in moss and bird poop and dirt, that seems like it must have been there for a long, long time before I came to be here. But was it there before I started dreaming? Before I was born into this body 43 years ago, that rock existed for thousands of years. Did that rock exist before I came into this world? If I was having a dream at night, and Jesus says all your time is spent in dreaming, and your nighttime dreams and your daytime dream differ only in their forms and their content, and if when I dream at night I suddenly spontaneously manifest a whole world of objects and an entire appearance as if there was time that came before that made the objects look the way they look, even though it was made in the blink of an eye, in a split second, was that world really there before I started dreaming? Was this world really here before you started dreaming? And Jesus says in the Course that when you came into this dream, when you started to dream, you imagined that there was a world that was there before you arrived, and somehow somebody else had put it there, or somehow it came about through some other means. And yet you found what you wanted to see. And so you wanted to see a world. And so you dreamed of a world. And then you found yourself in the world. and it seemed as though you hadn't dreamed the world. And so now you pretend that just because you're not in touch with the dreaming process, and you've convinced yourself that you're not dreaming, and that this dream is real, doesn't mean that you're not making it up. There is no world apart from what you wish. Jesus says in a similar quote, Lesson 132 is filled with statements about there not being a world, and there only being a world in your ideas, and the world isn't real, and God didn't create it, and if you are real, the world is not. And one of those quotes talks about how the world is just an idea in your mind, and you maintain it in your mind, and there is no world. So unless you're dreaming, there's no world there. There's no objective world. When you go to sleep at night and you have a dream, you don't suddenly go through billions of years of evolution. You don't create the laws of physics and let time run its course to develop a world so that you can have your dream in it. Your mind just instantly materializes and manifests the forms of the appearance of a world that looks like it's been there a long time. And that sort of implies that there was some continuum, and you sort of backfill the history that must have been implied by the state that it's in now, in that this idea that the way that things are now is only this way because of everything that happened before. That is not true. Your mind is projecting your body right now in the condition that it's in right now as a fresh projection that has nothing to do with the past. It is not the result of the past, or decisions in the past, or events in the past, or things that happened to the body in the past. You're dreaming of the body's current state right now. If your body looks old, you're dreaming of having an old body. If your body looks like that of a child, you're dreaming of looking like a child. Just because your body seems to have a continuum of cause and effect, horizontal causality, which is an ego lie, that its current state is the effect of causes in the past. Maybe 10 years ago you hurt your leg and you've been limping ever since. Jesus tells you that beliefs and decisions are continuous. You don't just have one thing that happens as a blip in time and then that sort of changes your direction and then nothing else happens after that. You sort of stay with the effects that were created then. Rather, you're continuously staying in the same mindset and the same focus of my body is damaged, and therefore are continually projecting a fresh, current, spontaneous image of a body that has damage because you're maintaining the same thought belief throughout time. And if you were to change your mind, the entire history of why my body can't be healed is completely nonsense, doesn't apply whatsoever. If you change your mind now, your body will change now. Just as in your dreams, if you can spontaneously materialize objects instantly that are in any condition. The mind is responsible for every condition of the body. So your mind right now is responsible for the condition of your body, not the past, not things that happened in childhood, not things that happened when you got hurt and injured. It's got nothing to do with this image that's showing up now. The image that shows up now is what you are dreaming now. The image that shows up in your dreams at night is not the image that took time to develop, took millions of years to develop to be able to put a rock and a tree in front of your face. It's an image that you're projecting now that happens to have the form that looks like it's been there for a long time. It's an illusion. And Jesus talks about projection makes perception. The body's eyes pretend to look at the world, and they are a form of the desire not to see. It's kind of like sticking your head in the sand and not wanting to look at reality. The images that you see with the body's eyes, the bodies can only show you false perception. They can only show you appearances and illusions and forms, nothing so blinding as sight of form. And it sends these signals that try to prove that the form of error, physical matter, is reality. It tries to prove that, and you get these signals coming into your eyes, and the eyes do not see, the brain does not see. The function of seeing is in the mind. Your mind, back here somewhere, interprets the signals that come in through the body's eyes. And it's back here in the mind that you're seeing a world. Not out there. It's back here in the mind, unseen, hidden, where you're having perception. And whatever you value, if you value something more than something else, and now you have an imbalance of value and you're valuing inequality, you have an ego belief that something is special and therefore something else isn't as special, and you have this value, this belief in your mind back here. When you see the images that the body's sending you, you interpret them, and whatever you value, you believe in. Whatever you believe in, you want. And so your values turn into the desire to want to believe in and to want to see something in a certain way, and that distorts your perception, and now you only see this sort of thing that you've read into. The world I see, all the meaning that I have given to it. And so back there in your mind, you're having this dream where you're selecting what you want to see, and you use fear to shut out of awareness what you don't want to see. And so you become selective and biased, and now you see the world that you want to see. So now the world I see is to do with what your mind is seeing through your perceptual distortions, based on the images that are in the world that your eyes are telling you it's there. And so now, besides what seems to be outside your body, In terms of your mind, the world you see is back here in your perceptual mechanism, and you're hallucinating a world. And so there is no world out there apart from what you wish. There's no world apart from what you want to see. So when you came into dreaming, it wasn't that you came and you saw a world that was already there. You saw the world you wanted to see. And so either you're going to value ego differences and focus on forms and see things as separate and disaster and see with false perception the world as if it's hell, or you're going to focus on true perception and value holiness and equality and life and peace and truth and see a world through that frame of reference. And therefore, as you come here to this world, you will see a forgiven world, because that's what you value and that's what you want to see. You'll see it in a forgiving way. And yet both of those are not reality. They're both dreaming. With true perception, you're still dreaming, and the forgiven world, or the real world, Jesus says, the real world still is but a dream. There is no objective planet Earth outside of your mind. There is only this planet Earth in your mind that you're maintaining with your thoughts, that you're dreaming of and hallucinating and pretending is real, having a dream and seeing something that you want to see as if it's real in a dream, even if it's a happy dream. And seeing that happy dream doesn't mean that you're not dreaming. You're still in a dreaming state, and your mind is still making the world that you see. And so if you want to get out of dreaming and get into being awake, the dreaming has to end. And that's the step that God takes when he takes you back to heaven. And heaven is not this world, because this world only ever was a dream, just as at nighttime when you made up a world instantaneously with the power of your mind. This world, the physical earth, is also being made up by your mind. And so if it wasn't for your dreaming of it, there wouldn't be a world there. This is not the world that God created. This is a dream world. This is an illusion. There is no world. This is the central teaching that Course would attempt to teach. And so when the dreaming ends and you wake up in the morning, nothing in your dream world exists. It never really did exist. You were making it up. You were having an illusion, an hallucination, a perception not based in reality. The whole dream disappears and it has no consequences. And so when you wake up from this dream, from planet Earth dream, there is no world left. Everything in the world has disappeared. There's only reality to wake up to, which leaves behind the unreal stuff, such as this world, and then there is no world. The earth does not become heaven. It disappears because it never really existed. It's a dream. And the end of dreaming is your return to heaven, in which there is no world. There's only heaven. And heaven remains in the same state it's always been in as reality, where you're awake and aware, and it hasn't been affected or changed or upset or attacked or anything. It's still the same as it's always been. And this is why enlightenment is but a recognition and not a change at all, because to be enlightened is to be in the light and of the light and as the light, to be in heaven, where you recognize the truth that God is, and that you're no longer dreaming. You're no longer dreaming of having a perception that shows you an imaginary world that's in your mind that you believe is out there, physically real, and you can touch it and do things to it to try to prove that it's real, but it still is just a dream, just like your nighttime dreams. And this is a major teaching in the Course, that there is no world, because you just fell asleep and had a dream. You're in heaven dreaming of exile. You're dreaming of being exiled on a planet that you're making up with your mind, and that you've forgotten that you made up with your mind, because you've made yourself seem so powerless and so small that you don't remember, and you're not in touch with the power and the mental mechanisms through which the dream happens. And one of the functions of the miracle is to make you aware that you are the dreamer of the stuff that's around you, that you're thinking is there, that you're actually dreaming it. And so you first become aware that you're the dreamer, and then you stop dreaming. And where is the world then? The world wasn't really there to begin with. And God definitely did not create it any more than God creates your dreams at nighttime. Doesn't matter how sophisticated it looks, how amazing, how big, how incredible the objects are, or the animals, or the creatures, or whatever you've dreamed up. It's still a dream, and it still is not reality, and it's not God's creation. I've been encountering a lot of resistance to this in the Course community, so it's a fairly simple teaching, really. You just fell asleep and you're dreaming of a world, and one day you're going to wake up and then there's no world, and now you're back in heaven. End of story. It's pretty plain and simple, but the dream is so convincing that it seems really real, and we've really bought into it without believing in it. What you believe in makes it seem like reality to you. So we believe in this world because we value the idea of death, and we want to be separate from God. And so we valued that, and then made a world to see, to demonstrate that that's reality, and to try to prove it. And the world was made as an attack on God. It is not heaven. You can get to this true perception state where you're still dreaming, and you're still seeing a dream world, and you're seeing it with love, and you're seeing it with truth, and you're seeing it with innocence. But it's still going to have bodies in it. It's still going to have people at war. It's still going to have all kinds of strange, bad stuff happening. But you're going to know that it's not real, because you are aware that you're dreaming it. You're aware that you're the dreamer. So you don't take any of it seriously, and you don't believe that any of it is really true, because you know that you're actually making it up. To see the forgiven world is to recognize that the world is not actually real. It's an illusion. It's a dream. And then God wakes you up, and you return to reality. And heaven is not like this world in any way. It is completely opposite to God's creation. So either you're dreaming or you're awake, but you can't have it be that your dreams are God's creation. You can't have it be that your dream is reality, and it's permanent, and it's always going to be existing as if it's some kind of spirit creation or mind thing that lasts forever. There's no trees and boulders and grass and sky and sunshine in heaven. There's no forms, there's no bodies, there's no churches, there's no American flags, there's no park benches, there's no cars. This is a dream. It can become a happy dream. You can have a much happier dream, a much happier interpretation of the world, a much happier looking dream. Happy sights and sounds reach the mind that has forgiven itself. But that doesn't mean that it's not a dream. Heaven is for real. Heaven is my home. Keeping it short and sweet. Love you, bye.